Hi everyone, it's Cass. Welcome back to my channel. Tonight, yes, I'm doing another nighttime video. Excuse the lighting, but we do what we can here. I thought I would give a progress report update on my August currently inked before I start inking up my September pens. So I brought this tray out to showcase the changes that happened over the month of August. Because if you watched my August currently inked, like at the very beginning of the month, this was before I left for vacation and all of that. If you watch that video, the currently inked situation looks so much different than what you're seeing right here. A lot of things, I switched up a lot of things. And basically, I re-inked when I came back from vacation. Some pens, I took ink out of other pens, and I made an entry in my ink journal, but didn't get a chance to film. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, now before we get into that situation, I wanted to bring out my ink journal and show you where I was at the start of the month. Let's talk about this one first. This was the Jinhao X159 in ivory with a medium nib. I had it inked up at the beginning of the month with Robert Oster and by Endless Pens Tea Time, and I inked that up full. When I swatched Tea Time, it looked like this, much darker. When I put it in a pen, it looked like this. And so, as I was writing, I was a little bit unhappy with how saturated the ink ended up looking on my page, and I was really looking for something that was going to be that kind of green instead of the lighter shade that I was getting from this nib. But I said the ink looks different each time I write, but definitely lighter than the swatch, and I want to see it in a broader nib. This pen flows very nicely, but can get heavy surprisingly, or surprisingly heavy. This is my other ink journal where I've been doing transcribing, and I want to see if I had, was this Safari? Yeah, that's Safari. I want to see if I even wrote a decent sample size with that pen. It doesn't look like it. Yeah, it really doesn't look like I was like gravitating toward that pen and ink combination because of how light the ink color was. So needless to say, I uninked this pen and cleaned it out, and so it'll be ready for a future use. And I had fun with this number 8 size nib. Yeah, it'll be ready for another ink color, and I want to see this particular Robert Oster ink in a broader nib. Now, this one. This was the pen I can say of everything that I had inked up in the month of August that I was the most disappointed by, which is a shame. Such a shame because of how gorgeous this pen is, and when I'm holding it in my hand, it makes me want to use it. It's just so striking. This is the Leonardo Momento Zero in the color Lavanda with a medium nib. This is my very first Leonardo Officina Italiana pen, and I loved this color. This color was like what made me end up wanting to try this pen out. Now the issue was a couple of things with this pen. So I had this inked up with Dominant Industries Arizona Sky Citrus. And this ink and I had been fast friends since that initial swatch. I wrote with this pen pretty frequently, and this one I should have a good ink sample size. So this is a very good, I guess, look at what this pen did to this ink. So first of all, my issue with the pen is I don't believe that the cap has a very good sealing mechanism on it, because every single time I would come back to this pen after leaving it for a while, it dried the ink out in the nib and it would write significantly darker than this lighter pumpkin-y color that you get down there. It happened every single time that I put this pen down for a little bit. So that turned me off from that particular pen, but I loved this ink so much that I still wanted it inked up and I still wanted to play with it. The other thing that I discovered about this Leonardo Momento Zero is, for me personally, I don't find this pen particularly comfortable to write with. And the reason for that is the step down. And then I guess the grooves on the pen for the cap. Because that just so happened to be like the exact spot that I would hold my pen. And if you can remember from when I first inked this pen up, when I'm writing with fountain pens as a lefty, I tend to write with a little bit of an overhook because I don't want to smear the ink. And it just, the way that I was gripping this pen, it ended up hitting, like this spot on my finger would end up hitting the step down like every time. And for a long writing session, that got to be pretty uncomfortable for me. I left it inked up mid-month. So this survived the mid-month change up of my pens, but my first thoughts at the beginning of the month were, I sincerely love this ink and I am so surprised. This is currently darker than when I first inked, maybe from little use. Can't say I'm fawning over this pen, but it is very pretty. And then mid-month I said, I'm going to give this a rest for September. The grip section of this pen isn't the most comfortable, and the seal must not be super great because of how dark the ink initially writes. Don't love that. Then I had inked up this Laban 325 in the color Sakura with the medium nib, and I had it inked up with Pilot Iroshizuku Kujaku, and lovely Kujaku flows wonderfully in this pen and looks stunning on any paper, darker than I initially thought and maybe too dark for the delicate Sakura body. So, I mean, if you're someone that likes to match pens and inks together, this wasn't like a match made in heaven, but I purposefully paired Pilot Iroshizuku with the Laban because I was trying to decide if the nib needed super, super wet inks. So the only reason why this didn't survive the mid-month ink up, the mid-month change up, is because I swatched that Birmingham Pen Company ink set with Ohio River, and I was desperate to play with Ohio River. So I ended up swapping out the Sakura for my TWSBI Diamond 580 and Iris with the medium nib, and this currently has Birmingham Pen Company Ohio River currently inked in it. And so I cleaned this pen out, and this one is ready for the next use. I have no complaints with the performance of this pen or this ink combination. It just, I got too excited with the new ink and switched it out for that. And what did I say mid-month? I should play with this ink combo more, so I think I will keep it around. The formula is my new obsession, and it's like Pilot Iroshizuku for a fraction of the price. Honestly, so glad I bought this. Those are my thoughts on Ohio River, and I wrote this a couple days ago, and I'm still feeling that exact same way toward the end of the month. I've used this, both this pen and this ink, in my work notebook, which is the Leuchtturm notebook, and it had no issues with that. It's had no issues when I was doing some transcribing earlier. Here we go. Here's a good page of that. And the fun thing about this ink and this pen combination, so I was initially worried that the TWSBI Diamond 580 medium nib was just going to be this like super fire hydrant gusher writer. The first time I had this pen inked up, it was with Private Reserve Blue Suede, which is funnily enough a color very, very similar to this. And that pen like gushed. It was such a wet combination of both pen and ink. But this one, it's behaving, it's writing like a medium. It looks so stunning in this. So I've been having fun with this, and I guess I will continue to use this pen throughout the rest of this week, and then have to make a decision on whether or not I want to keep this and write this dry. Then I had my Esterbrook SD Petrified Forest in the fine nib, inked up with Pilot Iroshizuku Yamabudo. This year, you might have noticed that throughout the month of August, over the course of my vacation, I acquired a few more Esties. Oh, I don't say that lightly, but I went a little bit crazy. And this pen, I absolutely fell in love. This is easily one of the new favorites to my entire collection. And so typically when that happens, that's when I go a little bit wild and I accumulated some more colors. So this pen is easily one of the favorites of the new collection, and I'm glad I added it. It's been a fun combo with Yamabudo, and I'd like to try this pen with a medium nib. This one did not survive the mid-month change up because I acquired a new pen and I wanted to try that out with a different color ink. So that's the only reason why I didn't want to have two purples inked up at the same time. But I feel like maybe I didn't get too much time to play with this particular pen with the Yamabudo in it. And so part of me wants to ink this back up again for September. So I'm not sure what I'm going to end up doing with the Petrified Forest Esterbrook SD. And then we have this Benu. This Benu. Oh boy, I think it went like Benu, Euphoria, Ice Caramel Latte, then Esterbrook SD as far as like enjoyment and love affair with pens. I've completely written this pen dry and I immediately re-inked it up. Like this pen was the pen that I reached for the most. I can't say that Colorverse Coffee Break is my favorite ink, but I just loved using this pen so much that that's what happened. That's like literally just what happened. The flow, everything looked so great. Here's a good writing sample. I had so much fun with this pen. I kept writing with it. I think, oh no, I wrote another page in my transcription notebook. I just loved it. So this definitely survived. I don't know what the plans are for September with this pen, if I will be keeping this one around. I don't know. I love this pen so much. Coffee Break, not my favorite, but Benu, you are my favorite. And then the final ink from that initial ink up was something that I hadn't posted in the video, but I had acquired Diamine Celadon Cat, and so I wanted to put it in a pen immediately, and so the pen I chose for that was this Jinhao 82 in light blue with a medium nib. I love this pen. I love this ink. This ink is darker than Manyo Haha. I will have to fight getting like 1,000 Jinhaos, Jinhao 82s in particular. But I've already cleaned this pen out, right? Let me look. No. Oh, I do still have ink in here. So I guess this pen, I was planning on cleaning it. I just hadn't gotten around to it yet. Just because I'm not in the mood for this light of a color right now. Like Diamine Celadon Cat. Oopsies. This is the color I was talking about. Diamine Celadon Cat, you're beautiful, you're lovely. But it's just like not what I'm in the mood for right now. So that's a larger writing swatch of Diamine Celadon Cat in that Jinhao. It's just not what I'm looking for right now. It's just a little too light. So I will be changing this one up. August Currently Inked Part 2 happened because of that Birmingham Pen Company order, and then I started playing around with nibs and such. So the favorite that had been going on for a long time was going to be this Pilot Iroshizuku Chiku Rin. And I had initially put it in the TWSBI Eco Cerulean with the fine nib. I've been obsessed with the Chiku Rin because it was brighter than the Robert Oster. Then what happened was I got a brand new Esterbrook Estie. And this is in a broad nib. So I purely switched it up because of the new pen, this new Esterbrook Obsession, and I thought the Chiku Rin would look really cute in this pen. So I cleaned this. No, this one hasn't been cleaned. I emptied this out. I just haven't cleaned it yet. Yeah. So I uninked this pen, and this needs a cleaning. And so that's just like what happened with this one because something new and shiny came along. This broad is broad, and this broad is wet. And I will have to have a think about this one. I bought it in a broad because I think I want to get this one like specialty ground. I don't know yet. I don't know. I'm telling you, just like all logic kind of went out the window this month in terms of like the Esterbrooks. So anyway, so this is one of the newest pen acquisitions from the vacation timeline, and it's in a broad, and I've been having fun with it. Okay, and then I guess the other change up, because I've already addressed Diamine Celadon Cat, I've already addressed Birmingham Pen Company Ohio River, so the next change up, and then I inked up another pen, was this Benu Talisman in Peacock Ore. So this was also a pen that I got during vacation week, and I hadn't gotten a chance to like showcase this on the channel yet. But this was the first Benu Talisman that I purchased. I wanted to try out a talisman, and I actually got this in a fine nib because I wanted to try out a new Benu size nib. And this is fine. Like, this is a fine nib. This is pretty much like as fine as I would like to go. I would like to see a wetter ink in this pen, but this was just fun and bright and cheerful. And so I inked this up with Diatramentis Alexander Hamilton to kind of like pull out that deep purple that you see at the bottom of the pen body. And I said, this pen is lovely, but it literally leaks whenever I use it. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, whenever I end up holding this pen, I should check my fingers right now. Yes, I forgot. This has a big leaking problem. I would always get ink on my fingers right when I would begin a writing session, and then it would like dissipate. Yes, I forgot about that. I'm glad I wrote that down. This ink needs a broader nib as well, and that's what I'm going to try next. So because of the leaking issue, and then because I was like, I want to see this ink in a broader nib, that's when I brought in the TWSBI Eco in transparent purple or translucent purple with my broad nib, and look at the difference between these two. This is the same exact ink, and so wow, what a difference when it's in a broad nib. It writes so much darker than with the fine nib. Wow. So that was just like a play around. I was also kind of like thinking, do I want more broad nibs in my life? And so I thought I'd ink this up just to test out broads again. So that was like the sole reason why that got inked up. But for September, I won't be keeping this one around. I will be uninking this pen and then just cleaning it out. And then I will clean out the Benu Talisman and try and get to the bottom of this leaking issue with this particular pen. Okay, so this is the Opus 88 in Omar, the clear demonstrator, and I inked this up with Birmingham Pen Company's Eroded Bronze. I thought that this ink looks so cool inside this pen. This is just like a really good color match for the body of this pen. And I have absolutely loved writing with this. I think the Birmingham Pen Company has really nailed down their formulation. Like I said in that previous note beforehand, that this really does feel like a Pilot Iroshizuku ink for the fraction of the cost. Just how well behaved and how smooth it is. And yeah, I think this pen and ink combination is going to survive to September, because I kind of want to write it all the way down. I want to write it dry. So that's what I'm going to do with the Opus 88. Then, remember when I said I got a little bit crazy with the Esterbrooks? So I decided when I was done with the Leonardo Momento Zero that instead of trying Dominant Industry Arizona Sky Citrus in another pen, I would, you know, set this ink down, and I ended up going with Erbon Ombre de Burmany inside the Esterbrook Estie with this is a medium nib. Now, I think I have to do some tuning to this nib because it is very loud when I write with it. So that makes me feel like maybe the tines need some work. Obviously, I can't really tell with the naked eye. But this was the third Estie that I added. I told you, logic and rational thought completely went out the window. I don't think I have a good writing sample of Ombre de Burmany. Let me check. Oh, I do. Oh, okay, because I wanted the two Esterbrooks kind of side by side. So here's the Esterbrook medium nib. Here's the Esterbrook broad nib. And so I wanted those two writing samples side by side. And I really did, you know, I think this pen and ink combination works out really well. And then so does this one. I think I'm going to do a video dedicated to the Esterbrook nibs since now I have them. I really couldn't tell you what happened other than vacation brain told me I needed these pens. So the amount of pens that I started this video with is definitely not the number of pens that I like to carry. So currently I am carrying 6 pens. I've been enjoying them. I feel like this kind of number still tends to be my sweet spot because then I can get enough time to write with each pen. And then this one right here is the TWSBI Diamond Mini, and I currently have this inked up with Diatramentus Document Black just as like an everyday carry black pen. And so that one I just didn't showcase in those ink swatches because it's black. These ones are what I'm ending August with. And I'm really curious to see what I'm going to carry forward. I don't know. Now that I said that I was like obsessed with that, there's like some colors that I want to try. So it's still the last week of August as far as I'm filming this. So I'm gonna keep these pens through the week and then give a think to like which colors and things like that I want to try for September. So that way I can still get some enjoyment out of these, and then maybe once this week is through, then I will get these out of my system, and then I would be ready for September currently inked. Okay, let me know what you thought about this video in the comment section below. There really was no rhyme or reason to this particular pen video other than just showcasing what kind of transpired through the month of August. I think, like I said at the beginning of this video, or maybe I didn't even say at the beginning of this video, I'm not entirely sure anymore. When I set off in the month of August, I really thought that I was going to have more time to be able to film, but I took that vacation, and then basically once I got back from vacation, I spent the rest of the time trying to play catch up. So now here I am finally catching up on some videos. But I think maybe in the future I won't push it so long to do like an update on the status of my pens, unless you like it all as a monthly wrap up. I just had like no real clear cohesive way to talk about my pens with them all changing up so much. But if you don't mind that format, if you like the format how this video was and just tell me to like leave it as is, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. What kinds of things do you look for when you're watching people's like ink wrap-ups for the month or whatever? I would love to hear any and all comments you have of that in the comment section below. But otherwise, feel free, like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate each of you so much. All of that will help my channel to continue to grow. And of course, you know how these videos end. I'll talk to you later. Bye.